Last live show of the year, Chris Joyce drums, Thursday 17th of December 2020. What a year. Be glad when it's over. If anybody's here in the chat, say hello, let me know where you are. It'd be great to see you. That's the noisy bit at the beginning. Right, hello. The theme tonight, James Brown and James Brown's Drummers. So the first song I'm going to play came out in 1965. Melvin Parker was on drums for this, and have a listen. Make sure I get the right song. Thank you. Right. So, good evening, Mr. Guest, and a guest. And the guest is a man who's helped me get my setup in here in the sulking shed. He's been really helpful this year during this COVID crisis, and it's kept me being able to do drum lessons with all my students and, you know, give them the best possible experience that I can, given that we can't get into a room together. So big thank you to Andy. So tonight, James Brown, hang on, let's get my notes. So yes, Melvin Parker on drums. That was considered a seminal song in the emergence of funk music as a distinct style. And as in a lot of things with James Brown's songs and music, there's a big emphasis placed on beat one of the bar or beat one of every other bar, as is often the case, which is a style that Prince ended up adopting big time. And we'll talk a little bit more about Prince and his involvement with one of James Brown's drummers later. So, Melvin Parker was the brother of Maceo Parker, who was also in the James Brown band. He was a fantastic saxophone player. But I think there were, at times, drummers got changed quite regularly with James Brown. I think, not the easiest of people to work for or work with. And certainly for a lot of the drummers, no recognition until probably the past 20 years, even though the massive contributions they made to music in general this past 50 or 60 years. Melvin also played on Out of Sight and I Feel Good. He was replaced about 1967, 68 by Clyde Stubblefield and Jabbo Starks, who we'll talk about in a little bit. He did play on the 1976 recording of Get Up Off of That Thing, which again is fantastic, brilliant feel, brilliant drumming. And as with all the James Brown drummers, amazing feel, really nice touch, lots of use of dynamics, and drummers that came a lot from a jazz background and had a jazz sensibility and could really, they didn't play dead heavy at all. They played light, but they just got in a great groove and a great feel of things. In 2004, James Brown actually said Melvin was the greatest drummer he had ever had. So, big compliment for Melvin there. So, what I'd like to ask is, anybody got a favourite James Brown song? Let me know. And where I'm playing these songs from tonight, I mean, unfortunately, with the recordings that I've got at the moment, the tracks that I'm playing to, there's no singing on them, which is, if you've got vocals, you've got singing on it, it's much easier to play along to than having to follow a drum chart. Because they're quite repetitive, the rhythms of these songs. So without the vocals, it's like I am looking at the chart just to make sure I'm in the right place all the time, without trying to count bars all the time, and also trying to keep a good feel on it. So this is the book published by Hal Leonard, Drum Play-Alongs, James Brown. There's 8 songs in here, and the arrangements are all perfect. They all, the arrangements are as the original song is. So, you can actually then, if you got the book, you could play along to the original song. I'm not playing along to the original song tonight because otherwise Facebook or somebody, some algorithm will come and seek me out and stop it from being broadcast, or certainly being repeated anyway. So hence me not using the original recording with James and his singing. So it's a 4-page chart. It's quite it just goes through different stages. I'll just demonstrate a few of the parts. So the first funny thing with it is you've got the 4-beat counting, but it starts on the and of 4. It's not like it starts on the 1. So we've got something like this. So with the counting, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. So that can throw you, if you just hear the song without having that click track or seeing the chart, you're going to think, where's it coming in? It's quite a strange place, but it's got that big horn. Bah! So this here now, why I'm going to show you this is because it's something, when I say I'm with my students, from day one with lessons, I like to get people using all 4 limbs. So I always start people off on a rhythm called walking feet. So we've got the feet going like this, foot cam, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So I've got the bass drum and the hi-hat working. Now after a few lessons I can get people generally playing a rhythm which goes something like this: 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1. So bass drum, hi-hat still playing 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and... Now, does that ring any bells? It's what's being played a lot of the way through this song, except the right hand is playing on the hi-hat, and instead of on the snare we've got a cross stick playing the hoop. So what we've got is... So if you're a beginning drummer, just starting out, and you've got your first few rhythms, that's probably something that you're going to learn in the early stages and be able to play along to a song like this. Now, the tempo is 128 BPM, which to describe it as moderately fast. When you're first starting, it feels a lot faster than 128. So yeah, the intro, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And then we've got a stop. Now the thing also with this recording that I'm playing along to, when they've got the stops, there's actually no click playing, so you really have to kind of like concentrate to keep the beat going, to know where to come in, or to not to know where to come in, to come in on time preferably, which can be a bit tricky because there's like a 7-beat count of nothing, just silence. So trying to keep it really accurate with something like that. So again, with a lot of books, they'd maybe put the click going through a silent part like that, so you to kind of keep abreast of where you are. So the first kind of, you got your intro, you got your first verse, and then you got another verse, and then after it comes to a bridge part, and then another rhythm that I start a lot of my students off with is something, the feet are going 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 1 and 2, 3 and 4. So there you go. So just that 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and... Now when I was saying before about a lot of these drummers having a jazz background, when people are playing jazz, you've got the ride cymbal pattern going 1, 2, and your hi-hat going 2 and 4, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1, 2. And that hi-hat, so I think that a lot of this came from those guys and their jazz background and keeping that going. And when they were playing, like, because obviously a lot of jazz stuff, it was swung, but we're moving into straight 8th note territory with stuff like this. So So you're getting that nice sound, really, just for, lifting your foot like that. So as the song progresses and we get into the next verse, it's kind of it's very subtle, the changes in this. I mean, really subtle. So we've had the bridge part where we've had... and then it goes in. So kind of like a combination of where we started off with 1, 2 and 3 and 4, 1, 2 and 3, and then the bridge parts 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 1 and 2, 3, into the next verse part 1 and 2 and 4, 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 and then gets the outro, and we're kind of playing what was played in the first verse, followed by what was just getting played in that verse then. So we've got and you can really feel that then the emphasis, you know, the dynamics of getting that 1 1 1. So really pushing it there. So that's a breakdown of that. I might play that again before we're finished, but that's enough of that for now. So the book, Hal Leonard, I'm going to do another song from there shortly, but I just want to talk about a few other things now with James Brown's two of James is really more probably well-known drummers are these two guys, and this is a great DVD which I recommend for everybody to get. And if you need something for your Christmas list, The Soul of the Funky Drummers, John Jabbo Starks and Clyde Stubblefield. Now these two guys, Jabbo joined James Brown before Clyde, and then it wasn't long after when Clyde joined, and so James Brown then had two drummers. Quite different styles. John Jabbo Starks had played with Bobby Bluebland, and James had his eye on him for quite a while and managed to get him into his band. And Jabbo was more from a sort of jazz background, whereas Clyde was more straight, as more of a powerful player. But Jabbo could really keep a great groove going, but it would be more, you could almost hear more of the jazz influence in his playing. He was lighter, lots of grace notes, but you know, and together they kind of complemented each other really well. So this DVD, there's a lot of footage of them actually playing in a studio, in separately and together, and also talking about when they were playing with James Brown, and he would sometimes he'd just point at one and it was like, your turn to play, and then he'd point at the other and it was like, now it's your turn. So they weren't often they weren't playing at the same time, and they wouldn't know when James Brown was going to point the finger and you were on the spot, so they had to keep watching him all of the time. So that is great. That's great. Another one for your Christmas sack, if you've got a Christmas sack, is this Groove Alchemy. A great drummer and educator called Stanton Moore, who's from New Orleans. Met Stanton about 10 years ago. Very nice guy. There's a lot of stuff on YouTube and places around about him. But in this book, when he was researching it, he became good friends with Jabbo and Clyde when they're both dead now, sadly. And but he spent a lot of time with them, and there's a huge amount of information in this book of the different rhythms that were played for different songs. So I would recommend this book to anybody really, because the stuff in it is fantastic. And you know, some of the rhythms here, there's a song called I've Got Money, and it's 162 BPM, which is moving at quite a rate, that. And it could easily be, you know, the drums to it's what drum and bass came derived from. You know, drum and bass was influenced completely by this. They just sped it up even more to 180, 200 BPM. But it's all of these James Brown rhythms. So the James Brown drummers were so important because they influenced so many people, and people like Red Hot Chili Peppers, Chad Smith, is it Living Colour? Even things like Happy Mondays and Stone Roses from Manchester. All of those rhythms that they were using, but without a doubt, influence from the James Brown drummers. And Clyde, who played on, where is it? Let's see. On Funky Drummer, which is absolutely amazing, the drumming on it. It's probably the most sampled drum part ever. I mean, like hundreds, if not thousands of times it's been sampled. Now, did Clyde make any money out of that? No, he didn't make a penny out of it. Because, you know, the drummers never got any credit for songwriting. And still don't, as far as I know. So that part made the song, and it was absolutely amazing. And what I'm going to do in the coming month or two, I'm going to look at some more of these rhythms in a bit more depth. Tonight, I'm just looking at a couple of songs and talking about them. I might have a look at another rhythm or two in here, and we'll look at some of the other rhythms. But if anybody's got any questions or anything they'd like to ask, request, then please, you know, get in touch with me. So this rhythm, I've Got Money, I'm just going to play a little bit of it, and I'm not going to play it at 162 BPM because I don't want to do that. So what we've got is, so I'm just going to change my camera so you can see a bit more of what's going on with the feet and the left hand. So swings like crazy, that. Fantastic rhythm. Right, okay, so just looking at a few more. Let's just see what we've got here. Limbo Jimbo. Let's have a look at that one. Again, using those similar kind of shuffly type rhythms, and sometimes what the way they'd play these, depending on the tempo of the song, were kind of between what they call the cracks, between playing it as straight eighths and swung eighths. So something when you're practicing, like, practicing going from straight eighths and 2 and 3. And that's how they do that. They kind of like get it somewhere in between and just get a great feel going. And with the whole of the band playing, it sounded wonderful. So let's just have a look at this one. Limbo Jimbo. So 112 BPM, this one. So let's just check it out. Let's see, so I can get the feel for it. Let me just get me metronome. Hang on. Just trying to. So 112. It's all very technical, this. So that's 112 BPM. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. you this shot. Oh, there we go. So. Great, makes me want to dance. So there's loads more in this book. Let's just have a look at some of these. This is one that I really like as well. Again, we've got that hi-hat thing. I got you, I feel good. Again, it's Melvin Parker. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 2 and 3 and 4. So we've got the cross stick on 2 and 4, hi-hat. So a 2-bar pattern we've got there. Just put this on again, so you can see what's going on with the feet. In the second bar, the bass drum is playing the and of all of the beats. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1. So wait a minute. 1, 2, 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So this song is 147. So let's have a look. Where have I put my phone metronome thing? Oh, there it is. So we'll listen to 147 because that's moving at a fair old pace as well. Oh God, right. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, yeah, so a bit of improvisation with the hi-hat part there, but you get the idea. Moving along. So, I'm going to play another song now. Give me one moment. Get all this stuff out of the way. Now this next song, in fact I'm going to talk about it a little bit first. Cold Sweat. And this is Clyde Stubblefield playing on this. So this was recorded in 1967. You should go and check out these. This was considered a watershed moment in the history of funk. Again, emphasis put on the one of each bar. This I was reading something about the other day, and the arranger Pee Wee Ellis said it was he was influenced by Miles Davis's So What, which is I never kind of knew that. They went into the studio. There was one microphone. They set up in a semicircle around this, and it was done in one take with no overdubs. So pretty incredible. Go and listen to the recording and you just won't believe how good it sounds. And you know, it's like it's a tribute to the skill of these musicians. Again, at the time, some musicians regarded it as a simplistic because it's just one chord with a change in the bridge, one chord all the way through. All the instruments and the horns and the guitars are used percussively. Clyde Stubblefield played and recorded with James Brown for 6 years. And amongst some of those recordings he did was I Got the Feeling, Sex Machine, Say It Loud and Black and Proud, Give It Up or Turn It Loose, and of course the seminal Funky Drummer. Funky Drummer was used by everybody from Public Enemy, Run DMC, NWA, Beastie Boys and Prince as well. Now Prince considered Clyde to be a drumming idol, and when Clyde was sort of towards the end of his life and in hospital and racking up heavy hospital fees, Prince stepped in and paid $80,000 to help pay for his health care. So that's a credit to him, that. Right, so I'm going to play this number now, Cold Sweat, and then I'm going to go and get ready for Christmas. At one moment, just give me a minute. So if anybody, any questions, I'm quite happy. I'll carry on if I get any questions, or anybody wants to know anything else. So just one other thing now on this rhythm, and something used again in a lot of the James Brown songs and rhythms, is put in and I did it in one of the demonstrations of the other rhythm before, is put in, instead of the backbeat being on 4, it's like put onto the under 4. And that's what happens in this tune. So, wait a minute. I've got the same hi-hat thing going as well. In fact, I'm going to give you a different shot here. We're going to go for the overhead. We're going to go for the foot cam. And then you don't have to look at me. Whoa! Right. Thank you. Cold Sweat, Clyde Stubblefield. I'd like to thank everybody that has joined me over these past 4 or 5 weeks, 5 or 6 weeks, I'm not sure exactly how many I've done now. I'll be doing some more in the new year. This is my last one for 2020. It's been a real pleasure. It's been a big learning curve for me getting this sort of stuff together. I'm still trying to improve what I'm doing. If anybody's got any questions about drums, music, anything, if anybody wants any lessons, I can do lessons wherever you are in the world. Please get in touch. It's been a real pleasure. I hope 2021 is going to be a nicer, better year for all of us. And get to the end of this nightmare. So, without further ado, happy holidays and a happy 2021. And thank you very much. Stay safe, stay well, look after yourself, look after each other. Okay. Very best wishes.